Islam and greetings. Good day, brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, America and the world. I am Adolf, divine prince of this divine theocracy, the Moorish Science Temple of America through Temple Alhambra. And I welcome you here today. Today, I've decided that we're going to revisit some twistery, and I will give you the real story. One of the more famous incidents that I'm going to speak on today is the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, there's going to be a lot of information here. And if you do not have your scribe and parchment with you, do I really have to explain to you the monotony of having to rewind the video to a specific part because you failed to write it down the first time? Let's begin. The first question I would like to pose in this lesson is, what do you all know of the Austrian Chancellor of Germany in 1939, named Adolf Hitler? What do you all know of Adolf Hitler? Well, if you're like most people, why, he was a murderous dog. He was a crazy man. He was nuts. That is the general characterization of Adolf Hitler. Now, I'm going to give you the real story of Adolf Hitler. For a moment, dismiss everything that you have ever been told and seen and learned from twistery. It is called twistery for a reason. Get rid of all of that for just a minute. Oh, you can bring it back when you hear something that doesn't fit the narrative you've been told all your life. You can always put the garbage back in. You can always do that if you insist on going backwards. But it's your free will. Use it any way you want. All right, Adolf Hitler. The only thing most people know about him is he was a dictator. You know, he was the Chancellor of Germany. Well, this is what you did not know about Adolf Hitler. Perhaps you had heard that he was an art student in Paris. And he was. It was a truly momentous time for Adolf Hitler. Not because he learned of the greats and the European masters of the day. No, it became momentous because he met a Moor in Paris. And Hitler and the Moor, they palled around together. Hitler learned much about the Muslim. He was never stupid. He learned much from that Muslim. That Moor taught him the science of astrology. He taught Hitler the science of astronomy. Hitler knew Moorish science. He knew Moorish science and he employed it. He made it work for him. Another question. Why do you think Hitler got up and walked out of the Colosseum when Jesse Owens kept winning those gold medals? Are you saying because he was black? No. No. Hitler was not a racist, regardless of what you have heard. Hitler was not a racist. If you believe in such a word and you go by what it has come to mean since its inception, no. Hitler got up and left the Colosseum whenever Jesse Owens won a medal because Jesse Owens was an American. It had nothing to do with his skin color. And so for those of you who want to sit back and go, he hated black people. Understand something, you morons. And here is where you can connect the dots. I'll make it real easy for you. No, Adolf Hitler was not a racist. He was a nationalist. There's a difference. He was a nationalist. So, you're still not convinced that he didn't, despise or hate people of color? You think that, do you? Well, what if I were to tell you that it was because of Adolf Hitler that the Tuskegee Airmen even came to be? You ask, now, Prince, what in the world are you talking about? Simply this. Before the Tuskegee Airmen went through the hell they went through to get in those P-51 Mustangs, before they went through that, Hitler already had, and I'm sure you will find a record of them somewhere, Hitler had the 313th Waffen-SS divisions. The 313th Waffen-SS division were Muslim. Every last one of them. Every last one of them were Muslim. They were people of color. That was Hitler's 313th Waffen-SS division. And this is what happened. Once the United States found out that Hitler had colored troops in the SS, the Schutzstuffe, they had what appeared to be colored people in the SS. Well, the United States, not to be outdone, well, if they're going to put their diggers in black uniforms, then we'll put ours in aeroplanes. That is how the idea of the Tuskegee Airmen was born. The United States was not going to be outdone by its sworn enemy, Nazi Germany, and its allies, aka the Axis powers. That is how the Tuskegee Airmen were born. They were born out of anything you can do, I can do better. That is how the Tuskegee Airmen came to be. Hitler had colored troops. In the secret and sacred SS. I'm sure there are records of the 313th somewhere. They were fascists. That is how the Tuskegee Airmen came to be. And as they proved, the Moors, when given a level playing field, the spirits of their ancestors shine through each and every time. every time. You see, those Moors, they brought pride back home. They brought pride back home. In fact, I was Air Force, and it was partially because of what I knew of their origins and history that I joined the Air Force. They brought pride back home. Let me tell you how I felt about one of their major accomplishments. The German war machine, near the end of World War II with Germany, Hitler and his scientists, they came up with the Messerschmitt 2. The Messerschmitt 2 was a jet. There were no jet aircraft in World War II until Hitler put them in the air. Well, the Moors of Tuskegee, they had that supercharged P-51 Mustang. And those boys splashed Hitler's jets in a propeller-driven airplane. They beat jets. They beat jets. With a prop job, they beat jets and splashed them. They killed the jets. Now that's something for people to be proud of. For their men who went off and did such magnificent feats. None of the amalgamated Moorish pilots ever saw a jet to take one out. But those jets came looking for those Moors, and they were not very happy that they found them. They were not very happy that they found those Moors awake behind the sticks of those Mustangs. Didn't end well for the jet pilots. It's pretty ambitious bringing them up with the Tuskegee Airmen. They did what Moors do. They win. They win. So, aside from Hitler not being, as he's characterized throughout twistery, they call him a nut because what he learned from his partner in Paris, from his Moorish partner in Paris, what he learned was how the stars can actually be of benefit to man. So he taught him how to read the stars. He didn't take to it really well, so he had to hire an astrologer, Hitler did. But his moves were right. Anything big you need to plan, you consult the stars. Because at the moment you think of it, all you know is what you want. And sometimes the universe says no. Because you're the only one who thinks that what you want matters. Well, this is what you kind of need to know about this universe. The universe does not care one whit whether you understand anything about it or not. It is going to be. And because you're in it, kind of makes you a part of it. Kind of makes you a part of it. But you run nothing here. This you have to understand. You run nothing here. You've got a job to do here. You got a job to do here. And trying to run this place is not it. It just isn't it. Okay, back to the real story lesson. Before Hitler was given a chancellery, this is what Germany looked like in 1936. In 1936, understand this, in 1936, the German people, they had nothing, and they did what they could to try to eke by. It had no money, and the amalgamated Hebrew, they own everything in Germany. In 1936, they were eating out of garbage cans. And in 1939, lo and behold, you have the newly elected Chancellor of Germany, and he's got cameras rolling. And out there in the square, fully uniformed troops, thousands of them, tanks, rockets, missiles, submarines, ships. And the one question no historian ever bothered to bring up or ask is, who gave you your money? Remember, Germany didn't have any money. It didn't have any money. In 36, you're eating out of garbage cans, and in 1939, you got a fully outfitted army and navy? You didn't have any money 3 years ago. And I have to ask you, who gave you your money? It would be the same as seeing a homeless man begging down there on Michigan Avenue by the old library. You see him sitting there up against the wall of the library with a cup in his hand on Tuesday. And on Friday, while you are walking down Michigan, this Rolls Royce pulls up slowly behind you and gets your attention. And the guy in the back beckons you to the car. You kind of think he's familiar. And he tells you that he's the guy you put the change in his cup the other day. Well, what's going to be this pedestrian's first question? Who gave you your money? You didn't have any Tuesday. And today, you're in the back of a chauffeur-driven Rolls Royce. Who gave you your money? Nobody ever asked. Nobody ever asked that when they were teaching this. Nobody ever asked that. Well, Hitler got his money from Henry Ford. He got money from Charles Lindbergh. He got money from Prescott Bush. He got money from the banking houses in New York. And they also funded what was known as the American Bund here at this time. Well, at that time. He got his money from here. Because remember, the United States Military Corporation has to go off and fight. That is the only reason for its existence. You all call it the Marine Corps. They're actually the United States Military Corporation. Tell me. See, because it is not a branch of the service. There are 3 branches of military service. here in America. That is the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force. The USMC is not a branch of the U.S. It is a wholly owned company, and it is owned by the company. The company is another name for the United States of America. Because remember, George Washington founded the USMC. If you have ever heard their battle hymn, it begins with the halls of Montezuma. From the halls of Montezuma, which means that while the conquistadors were still sacking, looting, and raping their way through Inca, Maya, and Aztlan, he sent some USMC people down there to help do that. So from the halls of Montezuma, I mean, they were down there in Mexico helping the conquistadors finish destroying those cultures. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Do you know where Tripoli is? I don't think you do. Tripoli is now called the state of Wisconsin. That's Tripoli. That's Tripoli. The original Algiers, before the Pope moved these countries, the original Algiers is called now Minnesota. That's Algiers. That's Algiers. And I'm going to give you one more astonishing fact. The actual Morocco is now called the state of Ohio. That's Morocco. That is where the treaty was signed. That is where all of the imperial decisions were made. That is Morocco. Or perhaps, I asked myself, how does it feel being older than a state? Because I am. I am older than the state of Ohio. Ohio did not officially become a state until 1957. It came up for statehood in 1803, but they hadn't quite cleared out old Morocco yet. They were still killing people and pillaging, burning, and destroying. They did have difficulty, though. They had real difficulty getting Morocco, because Morocco did not surrender. Morocco was taken. Morocco was taken. George Washington came out of retirement to help subdue Morocco. They even named a city after him. Ever hear of Cincinnati, Ohio? It's called Cincinnati in honor of George Washington having come out of retirement to help subdue the country of Morocco. Because he was likened to I think he was Greek. His name was Cincinnatus. He was another great general who led his troops to victory, brought pride back to his homeland, and he retired. Well, they got attacked again by somebody else. And what they remembered was the success that their country had under Cincinnatus. And he called him out of retirement. He came back for one more battle, and he won that one too. And so George Washington was likened to Cincinnatus. And that is why the city of Cincinnati is named Cincinnati. It is named in honor of George Washington, who was likened to Cincinnatus, the general who came out of retirement to do battle with an enemy, which is why I told you all in an earlier video, that banner of commerce that belongs to the United States flies this way. The United States is at war with America. That is what that means. That is what that means. It is at war with America. Now, strange as it may seem, no, skip that. No. What I'd like to do before I close this out, I've given you some information, and it is information which you can find. And remember this: the acquisition of knowledge is a lifelong pursuit. You are never going to get it in a day. You are never going to get it in a year. It is a lifelong pursuit. You should learn something every day to put in your toolbox. Because as long as you have it in your toolbox, you will have it when you need it. You will have it when you need it. So, I keep forgetting this like and share thing. I don't know if there's a script for it. I have no idea. I don't have one. But from what I understand, this is what you're supposed to say. So until we meet again, I bid you peace.